Okay, guys, if they try and take this video off, remember, please try and download it and re-upload it. You're welcome to distribute it as you want, but I really feel this is really like earth-shattering news. I believe I've got the ultimate snooker against NASA. They won't be able to get out of this one. On the one side of the coin, like I said, is they have to basically say one side of the coin is true or the other side of the coin is true. And what's on the one side is, do we have people in space? Do we have astronauts in space? Have we been to the moon? And on the other side is, does the Earth move? This is the ultimate snooker, and I got this by looking at two videos. Number one is my video from last week about the Earth's atmosphere extending out to the moon, and the other one is got to do with something I was watching on Globebusters, to do with pressure. And the link here is the Michelson Morley experiment. It kept me up at night. I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. That's why I'm so actually tired now, but I'm running on adrenaline. I'm so excited. So this is how it all fits together. Okay, right. So let me first take you to the Michelson Morley experiment. Okay, this is Wikipedia's definition of the Michelson Morley experiment. And he says, basically, the Michelson Morley experiment was a scientific experiment to find the presence and properties of a substance called ether. Okay, so they were looking for ether in space. And it says here, a substance believed to fill empty space. Okay. And basically, the whole reason why they thought it was a failure is because of two things, okay? Number one was the ridiculousness of a new concept that Einstein thought of, called length contraction, where they actually thought that if you're measuring something in a certain angle, it actually contracts because the Earth is moving. The physical metal enclosement, or metal ruler if you like, actually contracts, which is absolutely rubbish. And a way that maybe someone out there, if they have the technology, can prove it is by using a laser ruler. If anyone has access to a laser ruler, because apparently light doesn't get contracted, just the metal does. So if you can just put a simple ruler that measures the length one way, and then turn it the other way, so in other words, north to south, and then turn it east to west, or west to east, and then measure it the other way. And if that metal ruler is the same size as the laser ruler, then we know it's a load of hogwash, okay? But anyway, so the one thing was this length contraction. The other thing was that there could be no ether in space, and that light travels through a vacuum. Okay, and this basically leads to this snooker position that NASA are now in, because on the one hand, if there is a vacuum in space, then man-made space travel and astronauts in space, and the fact that we didn't go to the moon, did not happen, guys. Let me show you something interesting about torr and pressure that's in space. Okay, I'm going to take you up to this table here. Can you see how it exponentially just shoots up at the higher levels? So at the lower levels, okay, you can fiddle around with pressure. You can double it, you can maybe triple it, and it's all, reasonably in hand, even though you can see where tankers fail, where human death occurs, the power of a vacuum cleaner, sea level. Okay, but then it gets to a stage where it just zooms up down to deep space, and you see the Torr level here, which is ultra high vacuum. Okay, it is so powerful that it can crush tanker trains. Let me show you some of these pictures here. Check this tanker train out. crushed by pressure, right? And this isn't even the pressure that you get out in space. Okay, let me show you another one. Let me show you another one. How's this one for you, man? Absolutely incredible. Pressure can be so powerful that it can actually, Mythbusters used it in this video to lift a car just using a standard household vacuum cleaner. So can you imagine the vacuum in space? What the vacuum in space can actually do? Basically this is why space travel is impossible if we have a vacuum in space, which means that we have to have ether in space, guys. We have to have ether in space. And if there's ether in space, then according to Michelson Morley, the Earth doesn't move. So instead of Michelson Morley proving that there's no ether in space, I think it's actually proved that the Earth doesn't move. And this is what NASA has to choose now. On the one side of the coin, it has to choose, do we have a vacuum in space, in which case all space travel is now null and void. On the other side of the coin, it has to then refute that the Earth doesn't move, according to Michelson Morley. So they have to choose one side of the coin, and it's a lose-lose opportunity for them. This vacuum is so unbelievably great. I want to show you this video of NASA saying how thin the skin was on their lunar module. Okay, this comes from Globebusters. Again, I'll put their link in the description below. Okay, this is to give you some idea of the power of vacuum.
Of science. Jaron, I don't even know how to introduce this video. Anything you want to say about it before I play it?
No, somebody sent it to me on Skype and said, "Did you hear this before? That the walls of the LEM were 2 sheets of foil thin?" And I was like, "What?" And so I watched it, and yeah, I immediately sent it to you because I couldn't believe what he found. But this is great.
I can't either. So you guys listen up to this. You're not going to believe it.
Good engineering.
and mind you, before I play this, I want to remind everybody that we're talking about a 10 to the negative 17th torr vacuum, right? That this craft is supposed to be holding out. And this is NASA people themselves talking about this. So hold on to your chair so you don't fall out of it, but here we go.
So I'm going to play a clip about the construction of the LEM. Hold on a second.
The skin on the crew cabin was very thin, and that was all done because of weight savings. Weight was a very critical item.
Okay, just in case you can't read that writing, guys, that says Harold Loden, Apollo 11 mission controller. Okay, he's talking right now.
That always had to be considered in anything that you did. If you really took your finger and poked hard at it, you could poke right through the outer skin of the spacecraft. It was about the thickness of 2 layers of aluminum foil.
As thick as 2 layers of aluminum foil. You could stick your finger right through it. You had to be careful, guys. Okay? This is what was out in the vacuum of space. Come on, NASA, decide.
But it's the kind of thing that you were reasonably cautious that you didn't jab any pointed objects through.
Okay. Hold on, one more.
The skin, the aluminum alloy skin of the crew compartment was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick. That's equivalent to about 3 layers of Reynolds wrap that you would use in the kitchen.
They're trying to tell us that those guys spent 3 days in this little capsule with no climate control at all.
Okay, I mean, so you get what I'm saying here, guys. There's no ways in that little tinfoil CGI capture of theirs that could survive that kind of pressure in space. So NASA, you've got to choose. And if you want to know more about this Michelson Morley experiment, guys, watch my last week's video. I have a short little piece where I've put it. If you haven't watched it, please go back and watch my last week's video. It's so the last week's video is here. It's called Staggering News: Moon Found in Earth's Atmosphere. Go back and watch this video if you want to learn about that Michelson Morley experiment. That also will blow your mind. And here I talk about the second thing, which I feel the experiment proved, and that was that the Earth doesn't move. Although the original tension was that they wanted to prove that there's ether in space, and it didn't. Okay, so go back and watch that video; it'll blow you away. Nonetheless, I had so many people come back and saying that this is a deception video, and I want to tackle some of those things. But first of all, if you look at the image of the scientific article, look how close they put the moon to Earth, so we can believe it. And look at the atmosphere that goes out. This is not all of the atmosphere, just some of it. I think it's just helium. Okay. This is basically deceiving in a way, I think, this image. Because if you go to the solar system, look at how far the moon is from the Earth over here. It's 3 days, guys. It takes 3 days to get to the moon, yeah? And yet they draw it so close in this picture. It's just, that in my eyes is deceiving, number one. Number two, how would all this atmosphere stay in place if the Earth was moving like thousands of miles an hour around the sun? Okay, so the one guy says it's because there's, wait for it, a vacuum in space. So NASA's got to decide, is there a vacuum in space or isn't there? Okay, the decision is theirs based on what I've just said. But there's so much other stuff that's in space that could take this atmosphere away. Like, for instance, solar winds. Solar winds are just charged particles. Particles is matter, guys. So if you're traveling thousands of miles an hour, the sun would just clear up all this atmosphere. But then they say, oh no, there's a magnetic field around Earth. Yeah. Okay. So the Earth's magnetic field must protect the moon then. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Anyway, guys, so I think they're kind of running into walls here, and we've got to keep on pushing. We've got to keep on looking for the truth. Okay. Just remember that we don't divide over this. Like I said, I've got friends that believe in the globe, and we don't fight over it. We might argue over it, and we have a bit of banter, but I'm holding it very lightly. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong in an area, I'll upload another video to say I'm wrong, which is why it's important you subscribe. So guys, that's what I'm so excited about. I'll put all the links in the description of the video. Plus, I'll do a little write-up of the logic that's behind this, that you can copy and paste into news articles, blogs, etc., etc. So, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Hold on to your seats, because it looks like everything's coming to light now. Thanks, guys. Bye.